Foods grown from the ground intake. Benefits and progress of nutrition. Products of the soil, F&V, are considered in dietary direction on account of their high groupings of dietary fiber, nutrients, minerals, particularly electrolytes, and all the more as of late phytochemicals, particularly cancer prevention agents. 1. Different audits have related low admission of leafy foods with ongoing illnesses like cardiovascular infections, pulse, hypercholesterolemia, osteoporosis, numerous tumors, constant obstructive aspiratory sicknesses, respiratory issues just as emotional well-being. 2 to 6. Regardless of an expanding center around the medical advantages of foods grown from the ground, their utilization is underneath the suggested consumption among grown-ups. 7, 8. In this way, taking into account how nourishing-related medical issues have risen definitely internationally, it appears to be important that proper sustenance schooling, meaning to build information and products of the soil admission, be given need in well-being training projects and well-being advancement. This audit gives an understanding into the significance of leafy foods just as the advantages and progress of nourishment instruction in improving admission. Significance of F&V in the eating routine. Adequate admission of foods grown from the ground, F&V, has been connected epidemiologically with diminished danger of numerous non-transmittable illnesses. Presently, much interest is centered around the crucial part of cancer prevention agents which confer splendid shading to F&V and go about as foragers tidying up free extremists before they cause impeding well-being impacts. 9. Besides, filaments found in F&V have been appeared to decrease intestinal entry rates by framing a mass, prompting a slower supplement assimilation. 10. Subsequently forestalling blockage. They can be aged in the colon, expanding the centralization of short-chain unsaturated fats having anticarcinogenic properties. 11. And keeping up gut well-being. A few investigations have featured the CVD hazard lessening capability of F&V whereby their admission was firmly connected with lower cardiovascular danger factors, for example, lower circulatory strain, BP, cholesterol and triacylglycerol, in this manner forestalling untimely cardiovascular problems. 2. As of late, Habazit et al. 12. Detailed that natural products containing a high number of anthocyanins, flavanols and procyanidins, like berries, grapes and pomegranate, are successful at diminishing cardiovascular danger while citrus leafy foods moderately affected BP and blood lipid level. An expanded utilization of carotenoid-rich F&V keeps up the cholesterol level in blood since they diminish oxidative harm and cause an expansion in LDL oxidation obstruction. 13. An expanded utilization of cruciferous vegetables was additionally answered to cause a lessening in the danger of intestinal, inside, thyroid, pancreatic and cellular breakdown in the lungs. 4. F&V have likewise been recommended to forestall osteoporosis in grown-ups predominantly for their rich wellsprings of calcium and different nutrients which are indispensable in bone well-being. 3. The high-fiber substance of F&V may assume a part in calcium ingestion and lessen the corrosive heat of the eating regimen. 14. Upgrading bone development and stifling bone resorption which therefore bring about more prominent bone strength. 15. In addition, phytofixings in F&V like gooseberry, curcumin, and soya isoflavones have demonstrated to be defensive against focal point harm which happens because of hyperglycemia. 16. And certain flavonoids, for example, quercetin, can forestall oxidative pressure in the pathogenesis of glaucoma. 17. Additionally, a high admission of F&V was contrarily connected with the danger of COPD and respiratory indications. 5. Higher all-out leafy foods admission is likewise connected with lower hazard of intellectual decay, subsequently demonstrated valuable for psychological wellness. 6. 18. In light of accessible proof, an unmistakable connection among F&V and illnesses has been grounded anyway. No defensive impact of generally speaking products of the soil admission, FVI, against lung infections were found. Green verdant vegetables, as opposed to natural product, were proposed to have a certified defensive impact against cellular breakdown in the lungs. 19. Hazard of proximal colon malignant growth, rectal disease, 20, and forceful and non-forceful urothelial cell carcinomas, 21, are not related with FVI and no defensive job were seen on the danger of endometrial malignancy in postmenopausal ladies. 22. The acknowledged proposal is to burn through an assortment of F and V on the grounds that reviews exhibit that a blend of F and V have more potential advantages as opposed to a solitary natural product or vegetable. 23. Anyway, further investigations are justified. Leafy foods intake, FVI, body weight and obesity. Curiously, phytochemicals in F and V have been found to go about as hostile to heftiness specialists since they may assume a part in smothering development of fat tissue. 24. Adiposity is firmly identified with biomarkers of oxidative pressure and aggravation, and an eating regimen wealthy in F and V can change these adiposities-related metabolic biomarkers in overweight ladies. 25. A new report by Villaplana et al. 26. Showed that Carica papaya and Moringa centifolia displayed high lipase hindrance, which can be considered as expected choices for the administration of stoutness and keeping up body weight. Until this point in time, the red assortments of Allium cepa, Lectica sativa, Capsicum annum, Brassica oleracea var sabella and orange-fleshed sort of Ipomoea batatas seem, by all accounts, to be the most extravagant vegetables wellsprings of potential enemy of corpulence phytochemicals that can handle the inception and advancement of heftiness. 27. It is likewise perceived that products of the soil dull vegetables are low in energy since they contain high measure of water and fiber and can be devoured in a moderately bigger sum, adding to expanded satiety to keep up ordinary weight. 28. Filaments additionally structure a gel-like climate in the small digestive tract, bringing about diminished action of the chemicals engaged with the absorption of fat, protein and carbs. 29. Consequently, an expanded FVI can assist with facilitating weight reduction, and this can be accomplished when F and V dislodge high-energy thick food varieties like soaked fats, sugar. 30. So the general energy thickness of the eating routine is diminished. 31. Furthermore, organic products have been recommended to forestall heftiness since they amount to dietary assortment both between and inside nutrition types and agreeability to the eating routine, which has been uncovered to be a significant indicator of muscle to fat ratio. 32. Anyway, errors exist as for F and V with high glycemic file starches that are identified with a quicker abatement in hunger and expansion in food consumption temporarily. 33. Intense usage of fructose in F and V is identified with stoutness in rodents, however no impact has yet been exhibited in people. 34. FVI in overweight and corpulent individuals is a lot of lower than the proposal since they will in general limit admission of these F and V when attempting to get more fit. A critical relationship was seen among BMI and vegetable admission, whereby overweight members had lower admission of vegetables, 35 to 37. This finding is steady to that of Apirus et al. 38, who additionally tracked down a reasonable pattern between commonness of stoutness and low FVI. Besides, given that organic products are regularly eaten crude yet vegetables are every now and again set up by adding greasy substances, for example oil while searing, which diminish the low-energy thick uniqueness of vegetables, nutritionists ought to be cautious while advancing FVI among populace on the grounds that the thought may not work with all objective populace. For example, the admission of vegetables is related with a higher danger of heftiness in Chinese grown-ups because of utilization of oil for sautéing vegetables, and this features the significance of picking the correct cooking techniques. 39. Curiously, numerous examinations report a diminishing in body weight with expanded FVI, 40 to 42. For example, in a long-term follow-up investigation, high FVI diminished long-haul hazard of weight gain and corpulence among Spanish grown-ups, 43, 44, exhibited more noteworthy weight reduction from high vegetable admission when a high vegetable eating routine was contrasted and a control diet involved regular admission. Worldwide intake of fruits and vegetables. As per World Health Organization stepwise way to deal with reconnaissance overviews on persistent infection hazard factors directed in a few African nations incorporating Mauritius and in accordance with existing Food and Agriculture Organization information. Products of the soil consumption, FVI, levels were discovered to be beneath the suggested everyday admission of 400 grams, individual, 45. With the current 5 daily message, an enormous hole actually exists between the suggested and real admission, and numerous overall are not getting the amount or assortment of F and V that they ought to have, 46, 47. Table 1 shows the mean products of the soil consumption, FVI, in chose nations. Accessible information uncovers that the normal FVI isn't emphatically connected to the situation with the country, since more prominent utilization can be found in non-industrial nations, for example, Uganda and PR China, contrasted with created nations like Denmark, Germany, UK and France. Information from GEMS Food Group Diet shows that in U.S., mean F&V admission is 189.30 grams per day and 255 grams per day individually, and as of late, grown-ups were found to have F&V about 1.1 occasions and 1.6 occasions per day separately, 48. F&V are devoured in the measure of 146.81 grams per day and 176.96 grams per day separately in Hong Kong, representing an aggregate of 324 grams per day, 49. 209 grams per day and 228.6 grams per day F&V were accounted for among grown-ups individually in Germany. An ongoing German health interview and examination survey information report that ladies and men devour 3.1 and 2.4 servings of F&V each day separately, 50. Mean F&V were 179 grams per day and 133 grams per day individually in Malaysia, 51. Current information based from the Canadian Community Health Survey, which estimated the occasions members devoured F&V, instead of the real amount burned through, revealed that lone 40.8% Canadians matured as greater than or equal to 12 years burned through F&V at least 5 times each day, 52. Moreover, the Healthy People 2010 report, 8, expressed that the patterns in FVI over the earlier decade were generally level and has not had the option to meet of the Healthy People 2010 objectives. The last targets expanding to 75%. The extent of people matured as greater than or equal to 2 years who devour at least 2 servings of natural product every day, and to half thole to meet say who burn through at least 3 servings of vegetables day by day. As of late distributed Global Phytonutrient Report, 55, uncovers that to accomplish the WHO proposal, most grown-ups ought to in any event twofold their present admission of F&V around the world. Numerous nations like France, Spain, 56, US, 57, and Mauritius, 58, follow the 5-a-day suggested rules. Anyway, as of now, it has been accounted for that 5 servings daily are insufficient, since those burning through at least 7 servings of products of the soil a day are having more medical advantages and delayed lives. E.g., the individuals who ate 5 to 7 servings of leafy foods each day had a 36% lower hazard of kicking the bucket from any reason. 3 to 5 servings was related with 29% lower hazard, while 1 to 3 servings was connected with a 14% lower risk, 59. Nations like Canada, Australia, and Denmark have a suggestion in the scope of 6 to 10 servings of F&V every day, 60 to 62. Since various nations are utilizing various rules, the ideal suggestion of F&V is as yet being discussed, and there is need of a bound-together message to advance admission all throughout the planet. Prerequisite and techniques for sustenance training to support. Sustenance training is characterized as any blend of instructive systems, joined by natural backings, intended to work with willful appropriation of food decisions and other food and nourishment-related practices helpful for well-being and prosperity, 63. Instructive intercessions to urge Americans to improve their weight control plans may forestall rising rate of heart illnesses and save medical care uses, 64. The high pervasiveness of sustenance-related persistent ailments with heftiness and overweight among the most difficult and consistently rising general medical issues recommends that nourishment training should be a need for grown-ups, and sustenance teachers should be learned about diet and illness connections explicit to the populace, 65. The extent of sustenance schooling is more extensive than simply teaching about nourishment according to individual well-being. It can cover a wide scope of issues and points like an expansion in amount and nature of food sources, methods of improving nutritive worth of an eating routine, significance of sterile food, dealing with rehearses at home, in market, processing plants, and organizations serving food to enormous quantities of individuals like schools, clinics and cafes, 66. Subsequently guaranteeing sanitation and decreasing dismalness. To meet current F&V proposal, numerous nations have created focused on missions and mediations to build FVI to sufficient level. Pollard et al. 67. Observed changes in practices in regards to FVI in Western Australia when the Go for 2 and 5, and tracked down that most changes chiefly in information, perspectives, and practices concerning FVI occurred after the mission. Specifically, respondents who effectively distinguished the suggested admission of F and V multiplied, showing that well-being effort with nourishment schooling as a fundamental segment is productive. Reznikov et al. 68. Additionally announced that an Eat for Life program, a multi-component intercession to build FVI-led, brought about a huge expansion in FVI. These examinations are reliable to that of Ammerman et al. 69. Who checked on the adequacy of conduct mediations to alter FVI, stressing on investigations in North America, Europe and Australia, and noticed a huge impact in expanding FVI. In addition, in a mediation utilizing an overall sustenance course, members expanded utilization of complete F and V as well as new F and V alongside a critical lessening in admission of high-energy thickness French fries, 70. Bensley et al. 71. Contrasted customary nourishment training with that of a Web 1 and tracked down that both required subsequent advising to accomplish FVI levels, and in the two intercessions, the individuals who were given guiding burned through more vegetables, leafy foods juice. To accomplish and support FVI at the suggested levels, mediation alone isn't sufficient, as it requires a blend of different methodologies like social showcasing, conduct financial aspects approaches, and innovation-based conduct change models to guarantee that necessary objectives are met. 72. The discoveries from past audits are intriguing appearance that a large portion of the mediations lead to an expanded utilization of F and V in any event for the time being. Anyway, no such audit has led a meta-investigation evaluating the viability of the intercessions. Scarcely any mediation audits have been done to see whether nourishment schooling is powerful. One of such survey is that of Taylor et al. 73, who led a meta-examination of different intercession contemplates whereby 5 of them detailed critical positive changes in weight and BMI. 4 examinations had viable intercessions focusing on determinants of dietary admission and dietary practices and healthful admission. Notwithstanding, vulnerability due stays because of inadequate subtleties accommodated sustenance mediation conventions, irregularity in approach of conveyance and examinations between conveyance modes and substance of data gave to members between considers. Isles et al. 74. Tracked down that custom-made nourishment training was a promising technique for improving the weight control plans of grown-ups over the long haul, however expressed that future examinations ought to guarantee sufficient revealing of exploration plan and decrease the odds of bogus positive discoveries by means of more target proportions of diet. In like manner, custom-fitted intercessions were more compelling than non-customized mediations in improving the transient dietary practices of members, whereby conveyance of data in a few more modest dosages over the long run was bound to improve viability. 75. Lara et al. 76. Noticed that nourishment training was a critical factor in expanding products of the soil intakes and are in this manner successful, supportable in the long haul, and believed it to be of general well-being importance. Exemption of vegetable admission. Except et al. 78. Discovered a mediation impact in immersed fat admission during the principal feast and natural product juice utilization, yet not for everyday admission of foods grown from the ground. Contento et al. 79. Expressed that the detailed viability, or deficiency in that department, of nourishment instruction intercessions in different investigations relies upon numerous components, including the nature, span, and force of the mediations and how much the intercessions were carried out as planned. The creator commented that to guarantee the accomplishment of a sustenance schooling technique, significant ramifications should be viewed as, for example, creating and testing instruments with each new objective crowd before any intercession study. It will at that point be attainable to make decisions about the adequacy of nourishment training and effect of intercessions on intervening factors would be perceived. Besides, to be effective, nourishment schooling should be considerably more thorough than giving fundamental sustenance data. It should address food inclinations and tactile full of feeling factors, individual related factors like insights, convictions, and perspectives, implications and normal practices, and ecological variables. 80. Compelling sustenance intercessions ought to have a conduct center that will lessen the focus on hazard factors and contain systems that are formatively and socially proper. 81. Obstructions relating to well-being preventive practices alongside the determinants of admission ought to be considered and arrangements ought to be planned. 67. For instance, low-pay gatherings can be focused to choose modest wellsprings of F and V to meet the 5 daily interest. 78. Where conceivable, utilization of tropical organic products ought to be supported, and simultaneously this will expand the benefits of natural product merchants and that of the country on the loose. Men can be focused through instructive missions at work and through getting commercial. 73. The public authority can survey charge on F&V and advance more presentation territories, for example, ranchers' markets and shops in many districts to expand accessibility. 56. Contribution of partners, services, and enactment at more significant level can be thought out concerning produce and circulation channel related factors, just as for food marking, which are once in a while misdirecting and hard to decipher. 82. Besides, representing the high predominance of diabetes with 387 million cases revealed all around the world, which is required to ascend to 592 million by 2035, 83. And with more than 1.9 billion grown-ups having corpulence issues. 84. Diabetes idea of not burning through specific organic products may prompt further well-being impediment. Examination shows that diabetic individuals would profit significantly from devouring an assortment of F&V, which help to bring down levels of irritation, to have better glycemic control, and lessen chances of diabetic retinopathy. 85. Moreover, there is no proof to help that fructose present in natural products under ordinary conditions contrarily affects the glycemic control in type 2 diabetes. 86. Be that as it may, the job of fructose and natural product sugars in the advancement of the current stoutness and diabetic pandemic remaining parts questionable, and everybody, including overweight and hefty individual, ought to be given right data. Sustenance mediation projects should point good food propensities, including the utilization of F&V along with actual exercise intending to diminish body weight and improve well-being status. Messages and intercessions ought to be inventive, drawing in, steady and reasonable. 87. With practical objectives guaranteeing that the Mauritian populace, likewise type 2 diabetic and fat individuals, comprehend the message of having natural products similarly as everyone, without dreading deteriorating of their glycemic control. Difficulties on sustenance instruction intercession programs. Notwithstanding obvious proof on the advantages of nut